Now that you have your Keith Haring style figure drawn on your paper, there are just two very small things that we need to take care of before we can go on to the painting of this project. Number one, we need to make a horizon line. There needs to be a ground in this picture where the person is standing that is different than the wall behind them. And so you know that a horizon line is a horizontal line that shows where the sky stops and the earth begins. And so somewhere, probably down in this area of our paper, you're going to need to draw a horizon line. Horizontal, probably straight-ish, from one edge of your paper to the other. Do not draw over the top of your person. Make your line pass behind the person, like this. Skip over. Now I can definitely see that this is the ground and this is whatever is behind the person. Now, one last thing that we need to take care of before we move on to painting is we need to erase the sticks of the stick figure, the lines that are inside the body, those original lines, because when we paint the person, if you use a light color like yellow or yellow-green, those lines might still show through. And so I want you to be able to paint whatever color you want, and so we need to just erase those lines. Okay, so now I'm ready to paint. I have just the bubble figure, and I have a horizon line. Now, when you are deciding on paint colors for this, you are going to be using a new piece of color information that you have just learned about complementary colors. So the color of the person needs to be complementary to the color that you choose for the background. So for example, if I want my person's body to be red, then the complementary color that I would use to paint the background would be red is directly across from green. So that would make green my background color. Now remember, complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. And so any color that you choose from these 12 colors on our color wheel, you will find an opposite by tracing an imaginary line straight across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a color for my background because that's going to be the largest area. So I'm going to choose my favorite color for the background because I want to paint more of it. And for me, my favorite color is blue-green. So if I use blue-green for my background, then I must choose blue-green's complementary color to paint the figure. So the color for my figure, when I get to it, will be red-orange. I like red-orange, that's great. We have not yet talked about what you're going to paint the ground. That's a whole nother story. Keith Haring and many other pop artists were famous for using many bright, bold colors. So if this is truly a Keith Haring style artwork, then I'm going to want to color my ground a completely different color than the two colors that I already have. The two colors that I'm going to have are already as far apart on the color wheel as they can go. So for my ground, I'm going to choose one more color that is also far away from these two colors. So yellow is pretty far away from both of them, and violet is also pretty far away from both of them. So for the ground, it does not matter. I don't care what color you choose for your ground. but you want to make it a color that is nowhere near similar to either your background or your person. My background is this color. I would not choose green. It's too close to being the same. My person is this color, so my floor should not be red. It's just too close to being the same. So I'm going to go away from my colors on the color wheel and find a color that is pretty different, very different from the two colors that I will have already been using. Make sense? Let's get started. When you have done your thinking and planning and you know which two colors you're going to be painting on the background and the person, as well as what color you're going to make your ground, you will begin with the background, the large area of background. You will do one paint color at a time. If this color is going to be one of the, I call them rainbow colors, primary colors and secondary colors, you will go back to the styrofoam egg carton trays and you will bring one of these to your table and use your paint out of this. If that color is going to be an intermediate color, then I have two baskets full of intermediate colors that are already made. You can see I have some yellow orange and some yellow green and some red violet. I have all 6 of the intermediate colors. You just need to know which one to come and find. Now, you also will need to pause this video in a second and get a paint mat, and you will need 2 brushes. You will need this smaller green brush. We're going to do some outlining, and then you can switch to this big brush to paint some of the large background spaces. That'll make your job go a lot faster. So pause right now. You will need paint mat, your person, of course, these 2 brushes, and 1 paint color, whatever color you're going to need for this large background area. Pause and go get those things. Like I said, I'm going to do blue-green in my background. So I have gotten a cup of blue-green paint and my paint mat and my brush. Now I'm going to start with a small brush. In order to keep the paint neat and tidy and to keep this person not full of background paint, I am going to do outlining first, and then I'll use my big brush to do the rest. You can start anywhere you want, and you're just going to draw a line of paint up against your pencil line all the way around. Well, not all the way around. You want to stop at the background. So we won't be going down here, but I will be going along the top of my horizon line. Just watch. Now I've done my full outline. The inside of this line is what you want to be neat and tidy. You don't want it to look fuzzy. You don't want it to look like your paintbrush was drying out. So you're just drawing right along that. The rest of this, we're going to switch brushes now, and we're going to paint, just fill it in with color. I hope you noticed how I did not paint an outline around any part of my figure that is on the ground or in front of the ground. I stopped at the horizon line. That's very important. Now I'm going to switch to my bigger brush, and I'm going to paint all of the white that is in the background. Use that paint mat. Your paint should go all the way to the top, all the way to the sides, corners, edges. No white space in the background allowed.
Your background will look very neat and tidy if you paint with your brush strokes going one direction, at least as much as you can. You can see that I am painting mostly up and down. When I'm finished, this will make my background look nice and solid, not streaky or blotchy.
When all of that background is filled, it is time to get a new color and new brushes. 1 new green, 1 new big brush. If you have a paint with a cap on it, make sure it's closed up tightly. And now you're going to go get the color that you have planned for the ground. We will be saving the person for very last. So return those things, come back with new. All right, I decided that I would use yellow for my ground. Remember, since my figure will be this color and my background is its complementary color, the color that you choose for your ground needs to be a color that is very different from those two colors. So I'm going as far away from them on the color wheel as I can, which is either yellow or purple, and I choose yellow. Since yellow is in the egg carton, that's what I need to get and bring back. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the other part of the background. I'm going to outline part of the body first, whatever part is in front of the ground, and then just fill the rest. Here I go. When you have no white space remaining, you will take these supplies and put them away. Unfortunately, we cannot do that body until all of this paint is dry, and we cannot use the hair dryer on this because there is simply way too much paint. So if it is not the end of class and you have some class time left, after you clean up, come see me and I will give you something else to do.